Listeners, have you ever wondered about the stories that linger in the places we visit? The echoes of the past that whisper on the wind? Have you ever felt a chill, not from the cold, but from an unseen presence, a sense of history seeping into your very bones? Tonight, we journey to a place where the past refuses to be silent, a place where the veil between the worlds seems thin, where the whispers of history and the murmurs of spirits intertwine. Imagine, listeners, the crisp mountain air of Baguio City, the scent of pine needles, and the sight of mist clinging to the slopes. It's a place of beauty, a retreat from the heat of the lowlands, a haven of peace. But beneath this serene facade lies a history both rich and troubled, a tapestry woven with threads of indigenous traditions, colonial ambition, and the enduring presence of the spirit world. Baguio, as many of you know, was once the summer capital of the Philippines during the American colonial period. It was a place where the elite escaped the heat and humidity of Manila, a place of grand houses and leisurely days. But long before the Americans arrived, long before the Spanish even set foot on these shores, the land belonged to the indigenous tribes of the Cordillera. They revered the land, the mountains, and the forests as sacred, a place where spirits dwelled and the ancestors watched over them. These tribes, listeners, had a deep connection to the land, a connection that went beyond mere ownership. They believed that the spirits of nature inhabited the trees, the rocks, the very air itself. They performed rituals to honor these spirits, to appease them, and to seek their guidance. And they knew that to disturb the land, to build upon it without respect, was to invite the wrath of the spirits. One such place where the spirits seem to linger is the Whispering Pines Lodge. Nestled amidst the towering pines, it's a picturesque retreat, a place of quiet beauty. But beneath its charming exterior lies a history that chills the blood, a history that speaks of a clash between the modern world and the ancient beliefs of the land. The lodge was built by Don Felipe, a wealthy Spanish Filipino, as a mountain retreat for himself and his family. He saw the potential of Baguio as a haven for the wealthy, a place to escape the hustle and bustle of city life. But in his ambition, he may have overlooked the warnings of the past, the whispers of the spirits who still claimed the land as their own. The lodge, you see, stands on ground that was once sacred to the indigenous tribes. It was a place where they performed their rituals, a place where they communed with the spirits. And when Don Felipe built his lodge, he disturbed this sacred ground. He disrupted the balance, and he awakened something ancient and powerful. Over the years, the lodge has seen its share of tragedy and misfortune. Guests have reported strange occurrences, unexplained noises, and chilling apparitions. Some say they have seen shadowy figures lurking in the corridors, while others have heard the sound of children crying in the night. And then there are the whispers that seem to come from the very walls themselves, the whispers that give the lodge its name. But perhaps the most compelling evidence of the lodge's haunted history is an EVP, an electronic voice phenomenon, that was captured by a group of paranormal investigators. They were exploring the lodge, hoping to capture evidence of the spirits that were said to reside there. And what they captured sent chills down their spines. Listeners, can you imagine standing in the stillness of the lodge, the only sound the wind sighing through the pines, and then hearing that voice, that disembodied whisper? "We are here," it's enough to make your hair stand on end, isn't it? The investigators believe that the voice belongs to one of the spirits that inhabit the lodge, a spirit that is tied to the land, a spirit that remembers the time before the lodge was built, before the land was disturbed. And the message is clear: we are here, we are still here, even though you have built your lodge on our sacred ground. We have not forgotten, and we will not be silenced. The story of Whispering Pines Lodge, listeners, is a reminder that the past is never truly gone. It lingers in the places we inhabit, in the stories we tell, and in the spirits that refuse to be forgotten. It's a reminder that we must respect the land, the history, and the beliefs of those who came before us. For if we don't, we may awaken something that we cannot control, something that may haunt us forever. Don't forget to follow Stories Philippines podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this. And if you'd like to support the show and help us continue to bring you these fascinating tales, please check the links in the show notes. Your support allows us to keep exploring the mysteries and folklore of the Philippines. Now, listeners, let's delve deeper into the history of Whispering Pines Lodge. Don Felipe, the man who built the lodge, was a fascinating character in his own right. He was a product of his time, a man of ambition and vision. He saw the potential of Baguio as a tourist destination, a place where the wealthy could escape the heat and enjoy the cool mountain air. He envisioned grand hotels, elegant gardens, and a thriving community. And he wasn't wrong, was he? Baguio did become a popular destination, a place of beauty and tranquility. But in his pursuit of progress, Don Felipe may have overlooked the importance of respecting the past, the traditions, and the beliefs of the indigenous people who had called this land home for centuries. It's a common theme, isn't it, listeners? The clash between progress and tradition, between the desire for modernization and the need to preserve the past. We see it all over the world, in every culture, in every era. And it's a conflict that often has unintended consequences. In the case of Whispering Pines Lodge, the consequences were paranormal activity, the whispers, the shadows, the chilling EVP. These are the voices of the past, the voices of those who were displaced, the voices of those who refuse to be forgotten. But are these voices malevolent, listeners? Are they trying to harm us, to drive us away? Or are they simply trying to be heard, to remind us that they are still here, that their story is still important? Perhaps, listeners, it's a bit of both. Perhaps the spirits are angry at the disturbance of their sacred ground, at the disrespect shown to their traditions. But perhaps they are also trying to communicate with us, to tell us their story, to share their wisdom. It's up to us, listeners, to listen to these voices, to try to understand them, to learn from them. We must acknowledge the past, respect the traditions, and honor the beliefs of those who came before us. Only then can we truly move forward. Only then can we create a future that is both modern and respectful of the past. Listeners, have you ever had an experience that made you question the nature of reality? An encounter that left you wondering if there's more to this world than meets the eye? If you have a story to share, we'd love to hear from you. You can submit your story through our website or social media channels. Your experience could be featured on a future episode of Stories Philippines podcast. Now, let's return to the Whispering Pines Lodge. The lodge has had many guests over the years, seeking respite from the city, others drawn by its eerie reputation, and many of them have reported strange occurrences, unexplained events that have left them shaken and bewildered. One guest, a young woman named Maria, reported seeing a shadowy figure standing at the foot of her bed in the middle of the night. She described it as a tall, gaunt figure with long, flowing hair. It just stood there, she said, watching her with cold, empty eyes. Maria was so terrified that she couldn't even scream. She just lay there, frozen with fear, until the figure finally vanished. The next morning, Maria told the staff about her experience, but they just dismissed it as a bad dream. But Maria knew what she had seen. She knew that she had encountered something otherworldly, something that had no place in the realm of the living. Another guest, a businessman named Carlos, reported hearing the sound of children crying in the hallway outside his room. He opened his door to investigate, but there was no one there. The hallway was empty, and the only sound was the wind whistling through the trees outside. But Carlos could still hear the crying, faint and mournful, as if it were coming from the walls themselves. Carlos tried to ignore the crying, but it continued throughout the night, keeping him awake and filling him with a sense of dread. He checked out of the lodge the next morning, vowing never to return. These are just a few of the many stories that have been told about Whispering Pines Lodge. It seems that wherever you go in the lodge, you are surrounded by the whispers of the past, the echoes of those who have come before. But what is it about this place, listeners, that makes it so attractive to spirits? Is it the lodge itself, with its history of tragedy and misfortune, or is it the land on which it stands, the sacred ground that was once home to the indigenous tribes? Perhaps it's a combination of both. Perhaps the lodge, built on sacred ground, has become a conduit for the spirits, a place where the veil between the worlds is thin. Perhaps the spirits are drawn to the lodge because it is a place of memory, a place where the past is still alive. Whatever the reason, there is no doubt that Whispering Pines Lodge is a place of mystery and intrigue. It is a place where the past and the present collide, where the living and the dead coexist. It is a place where the whispers of history can still be heard, if you know how to listen. Listeners, if you're enjoying this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Stories Philippines podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us to improve the show and reach a wider audience. And if you have a story of your own that you'd like to share, please get in touch. We're always looking for new and fascinating tales to explore. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the specific areas of the lodge that are said to be the most haunted. One such area is the Old Ballroom. It was once a place of grandeur and elegance, where the elite of Boguio would gather for dances and parties. But now it is said to be a place of shadows and whispers. Guests have reported seeing ghostly figures dancing in the ballroom, their movements graceful and fluid, as if they were still alive. Others have heard the faint strains of music, as if a ghostly orchestra were playing for an unseen audience. One particularly chilling story tells of a young couple who were staying at the lodge. They decided to explore the old ballroom one night, curious about its history. As they stood in the center of the room, they felt a sudden chill, and the air grew heavy and oppressive. Then they saw them. Two figures, a man and a woman, dressed in elegant attire from a bygone era, appeared before them. The couple watched in astonishment as the figures began to dance, their movements graceful and effortless. The young couple tried to speak to the figures, but they received no response. The figures continued to dance, their faces pale and expressionless, their eyes fixed on some distant point. The couple, feeling increasingly uneasy, decided to leave the ballroom. As they turned to go, they heard a voice, a whisper that seemed to come from the very walls themselves. "Don't leave us," the voice whispered. "Stay and dance with us." The couple fled the ballroom in terror, never to return. They checked out of the lodge the next morning, convinced that they had encountered the ghosts of the past. The old ballroom is not the only part of the lodge that is said to be haunted. The attic is also said to be a place of intense paranormal activity. It is a dark and dusty space, filled with old furniture and forgotten belongings. Guests who have ventured into the attic have reported feeling a sense of unease, as if they were being watched. Some have seen shadowy figures lurking in the corners, while others have heard strange noises, like footsteps or whispers. One guest, a young boy named Miguel, reported seeing a ghostly child playing in the attic. He described the child as a young girl with long black hair and a white dress. She was playing with a doll, he said, and she seemed oblivious to his presence. Miguel tried to talk to the girl, but she didn't respond. She just continued to play with her doll, her face pale and expressionless. Miguel, feeling scared, ran out of the attic and told his parents about what he had seen. His parents, of course, didn't believe him. They told him that he had just been imagining things, but Miguel knew what he had seen. He knew that he had encountered something otherworldly, something that had no place in the realm of the living. The stories of Whispering Pines Lodge are numerous and varied, but they all have one thing in common. They all speak of a place where the past refuses to be silent, where the spirits of the dead still linger. Listeners, we're nearing the end of our journey to Whispering Pines Lodge. But before we go, I want to leave you with a few thoughts. The stories we've heard tonight are not just tales of ghosts and hauntings. They are also stories about history, about culture, and about the importance of respecting the past. The Whispering Pines Lodge stands as a reminder that the past is never truly gone. It lingers in the places we inhabit, in the stories we tell, and in the spirits that refuse to be forgotten. It's a reminder that we must respect the land, the history, and the beliefs of those who came before us. For if we don't, we may awaken something that we cannot control, something that may haunt us forever. Listeners, as we conclude our exploration of the Whispering Pines Lodge, I'm left with a lingering question. Do you believe that the spirits of the past can truly interact with the living? Now, in the next story, let's gather around, draw the curtains, and dim the lights as we journey tonight into the heart of Quezon City, a place where the echoes of the past linger in the grand halls of the Quezon Theater. Can you imagine a place where the walls whisper stories of joy and sorrow, where the spectral applause of an unseen audience fills the air? Tonight, we delve into the mysteries of this historical landmark, a place where the veil between the living and the departed seems to thin. The Quezon Theater. What a magnificent structure it is. Opened in the 1930s, this architectural gem quickly became the cultural heart of Manila. Can you picture it, listeners? The elegant facade, the plush velvet seats, the stage illuminated by the warm glow of the spotlight. It was a place where Filipinos from all walks of life gathered to witness the magic of theater dramas that tugged at the heartstrings, comedies that brought laughter to the soul, and musicals that filled the air with enchanting melodies. But as with many historical landmarks, the Quezon Theater holds a darker secret, a story etched in the tragedy of World War II. During those tumultuous years, as the shadow of war loomed over the Philippines, the theater transformed from a beacon of entertainment into a sanctuary, a refuge from the relentless air raids that shook the city to its core. Imagine listeners seeking shelter within those grand walls, hoping for safety amidst the chaos. Yet, even within those walls, tragedy struck. Many lives were lost, their stories forever intertwined with the theater's history. Don't forget to follow the podcast to whatever platform you are listening, and there are ways to support the podcast financially by checking the links in the show notes. Now, years later, the Quezon Theater stands as a testament to both the resilience and the fragility of life. It's a place where the echoes of the past whisper through the corridors, where the unseen audience continues to watch, and where the veil between the living and the departed seems to thin. Among the many ghostly tales that surround the theater, one stands out, sending chills down the spines of those who hear it. It's the story of an EVP, an electronic voice phenomenon, captured within the theater's walls. Imagine listeners hearing the ghostly applause and the faint strains of music echoing through the empty halls, a spectral performance for an audience that no longer exists. But there's another EVP, one that's even more chilling, more evocative. It's a clear voice, soft yet distinct, that asks a simple, haunting question: will you join us? It's as if those who sought refuge in the theater during the war, those who lost their lives within its walls, are still there, inviting us to join their spectral gathering. Can you imagine listeners hearing that voice, that invitation from beyond? The Quezon Theater's history, a tapestry woven with threads of joy and sorrow, is forever imprinted in its walls. It's a reminder of the vibrant cultural life that once thrived within its halls and the tragic events that unfolded during the war. The ghostly inhabitants, if they indeed exist, are a testament to the lives that were interrupted, the stories that were left unfinished. Now, let's delve into the factual history that adds another layer to this intriguing tale. During World War II, Manila suffered heavily under the Japanese occupation. The city was subjected to relentless bombings, resulting in widespread destruction and loss of life. The Quezon Theater, though scarred by the war, miraculously survived, standing as a symbol of resilience amidst the devastation. It's a physical reminder of the city's enduring spirit, a beacon of hope amidst the ruins. The ghostly inhabitants of the theater, if they are indeed the spirits of those who sought shelter during the war, may forever echo the lives that were interrupted, the dreams that were shattered. Their presence, if real, serves as a poignant reminder of the human cost of war, the enduring impact of conflict on individuals and communities. Listeners, the story of the Quezon Theater offers you a profound insight into the concepts of resilience and remembrance. The voices captured within its walls, those spectral whispers from the past, may be reminding us of lives spent in laughter and tears, of moments that transcended the tragedy of war. Could these whispers be urging us to cherish the joyous moments in life, even in the face of hardship? Could they be a call to remember those who came before us, those who lived and loved and lost within those very walls? This story, listeners, is a reminder that history is not just a collection of dates and events, but a tapestry woven with the threads of human experience. It's a reminder that the places we inhabit, the buildings we cherish, hold within them the stories of those who came before us. And sometimes, just sometimes, those stories whisper to us from beyond the veil, inviting us to remember, to reflect, and to cherish the precious gift of life. But our journey into the supernatural doesn't end here, listeners. The Philippines, with its rich history and vibrant culture, is a treasure trove of ghostly tales and paranormal encounters. So let's continue our exploration, shall we? Our next stop takes us to the province of Ilocos Norte, to the Erie Poway Church, a place where history and the supernatural intertwine. Imagine a church built in the 17th century, its walls bearing witness to centuries of human experience, its stones whispering tales of faith, resilience, and the unexplained. The Poway Church, with its distinctive architecture and imposing presence, is a landmark that has captivated the imaginations of locals and visitors alike. But it's not just the church's physical beauty that draws people to its doors. It's also the whispers of the supernatural, the stories of ghostly apparitions and unexplained occurrences that have made the Poway Church a magnet for those seeking a glimpse into the otherworldly. One of the most enduring tales associated with the Poway Church is the story of a ghostly priest, a spectral figure said to roam the church grounds at night. Imagine, listeners, walking through the moonlit churchyard, the ancient stones casting long shadows, and catching a glimpse of a figure in priestly garb gliding silently amongst the tombs. Some say the ghostly priest is the spirit of a former clergyman who met an untimely end within the church walls. Others believe he's a guardian angel watching over the church and its parishioners. Whatever the truth may be, the story of the ghostly priest has become an integral part of the Poway Church's lore, adding another layer of intrigue to this already fascinating landmark. But the ghostly priest is not the only spectral resident of the Poway Church. There are also tales of a ghostly woman, her sorrowful cries echoing through the church at night. Some say she's the spirit of a woman who lost her loved ones during a devastating earthquake that struck the region in the 17th century. Others believe she's a mother mourning the loss of her child. Whatever her story may be, her presence adds another dimension to the church's supernatural reputation. The Poway Church, with its ghostly inhabitants and unexplained occurrences, stands as a testament to the enduring power of belief, the enduring fascination with the supernatural. It's a place where history and the otherworldly intertwine, where the stories of the past continue to whisper through the ages. Listeners, as we delve deeper into the mysteries of the Poway Church, remember to keep an open mind, to embrace the possibilities, and to allow your imagination to soar. For in the realm of the supernatural, anything is possible. Now, let's turn our attention to the intriguing world of EVPs, those electronic voice phenomena that have captivated paranormal investigators and ghost enthusiasts for decades. What are EVPs, you ask? Well, they're essentially recordings of voices or sounds that are not audible to the human ear at the time of recording but become apparent upon playback. Imagine, listeners, capturing the whispers of spirits, the voices of those who have crossed over, on a recording device. It's a tantalizing concept, isn't it? The idea that we can communicate with the departed, that we can hear their voices from beyond the veil. EVPs have been captured in various locations around the world, from ancient castles and abandoned hospitals to private homes and even public spaces. They often manifest as whispers, murmurs, or even clear voices, sometimes responding to questions asked by investigators or simply offering unsolicited messages from the other side. The Poway Church, with its rich history and ghostly reputation, is a prime location for capturing EVPs. Imagine listeners setting up recording equipment within the church walls, the silence broken only by the occasional creak of the ancient timbers, and capturing the faint whispers of the ghostly priest or the sorrowful cries of the ghostly woman. EVPs, while often intriguing and sometimes chilling, remain a subject of debate. Some believe they are genuine evidence of spirit communication, while others dismiss them as mere anomalies or misinterpretations of natural sounds. But regardless of one's beliefs, EVPs continue to fascinate and intrigue, offering a glimpse into the realm of the unexplained. Listeners, as we continue our exploration of the supernatural, remember to approach these phenomena with an open mind, to question, to analyze, and to draw your own conclusions. For the world of the paranormal is a realm of endless possibilities, a realm where the boundaries between the known and the unknown blur. And now, listeners, let's take a moment to reflect on the lessons we've encountered on our journey thus far. The stories of the Quezon Theater and the POA Church have reminded us of the importance of resilience, the power of remembrance, and the enduring fascination with the supernatural. They've shown us that history is not just a collection of dates and events, but a vibrant tapestry woven with the threads of human experience. It's a reminder that the places we inhabit, the buildings we cherish, hold within them the stories of those who came before us, their laughter, their tears, their hopes, and their dreams. And sometimes, just sometimes, if we listen closely, we can hear those stories whispering to us from beyond the veil. Now, listeners, I know what you're thinking. You're eager to hear more chilling tales, more encounters with the unexplained. And trust me, I have plenty more in store for you. But before we move on, I want to take a moment to remind you that Stories Philippines podcast wouldn't be possible without your support. We pour our hearts and souls into creating these episodes, spending countless hours researching, writing, and producing the content you love. And we do it all for you, our amazing listeners who share our passion for the strange, the unusual, and the downright spooky. So, if you're enjoying the podcast, please consider supporting us financially. Every little bit helps, and your contributions will allow us to continue bringing you these captivating stories from the Philippines and beyond. You can find links to our Patreon, PayPal, and other donation options in the show notes. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any other. That way, you'll never miss an episode of Stories Philippines podcast. Now, let's continue our journey into the supernatural, shall we? Our next stop takes us to the historic province of Cavite, to the Corregidor Island, a place steeped in history and shrouded in mystery. Imagine, listeners, an island fortress, standing guard at the entrance to Manila Bay, its guns silent now, but its history echoing through the abandoned barracks and tunnels. Corregidor Island, once a bastion of military might, is now a silent sentinel, its stories whispering on the wind. During World War II, Corregidor was a key battleground, witnessing fierce fighting between American and Filipino forces against the invading Japanese. The island was bombarded relentlessly, its tunnels and fortifications bearing the scars of war. Despite the overwhelming odds, the defenders of Corregidor held out for months, their courage and resilience becoming a symbol of Filipino resistance. But the island's history goes back even further. Before the war, Corregidor was a bustling community, home to military personnel and their families, as well as civilian workers. It had schools, hospitals, shops, and even a cinema. It was a microcosm of Filipino society, a vibrant community that was tragically shattered by the war. Today, Corregidor Island is a popular tourist destination, attracting visitors who come to explore its historical sites and learn about its wartime past. But Corregidor is also known for its ghostly reputation, its abandoned buildings and tunnels said to be haunted by the spirits of those who lived and died there. One of the most well-known ghost stories of Corregidor is that of the White Lady, a spectral figure said to appear in the island's hospital. Some say she's the ghost of a nurse who died during the war, while others believe she's the spirit of a patient who met a tragic end. Whatever her identity, the White Lady has become a fixture in Corregidor's ghostly lore. Another popular tale is that of the Old Man of the Malinta Tunnel, a ghostly figure said to haunt the island's extensive tunnel system. Some say he's the spirit of a soldier who died in the tunnels during the war, while others believe he's a former worker who met an untimely end. Whatever the truth may be, the Old Man of the Malinta Tunnel is a chilling reminder of the island's dark past, But Corregidor's ghostly inhabitants are not limited to human spirits. There are also tales of spectral animals, such as the ghost dog of Battery Way, a phantom canine said to roam the grounds of an abandoned artillery battery. Some say the dog is the spirit of a military mascot who died during the war, while others believe it's a guardian spirit watching over the island. Corregidor Island, with its rich history and ghostly reputation, is a place where the past and present intertwine, where the stories of the living and the dead converge. It's a place where the echoes of war whisper on the wind, and where the spirits of those who lived and died there may still linger. Listeners, as we explore the mysteries of Corregidor Island, remember to keep an open mind, to embrace the possibilities, and to allow your imagination to soar. For in the realm of the supernatural, anything is possible. Now, let's shift our focus to another fascinating aspect of the paranormal, spirit photography. Imagine, listeners, capturing the image of a ghost, a spectral figure caught on film, a visual testament to the existence of the otherworldly. Spirit photography has a long and intriguing history, dating back to the early days of photography itself. In the 19th century, as photography was still in its infancy, many photographers claimed to have captured images of spirits on their plates. These images often showed faint, ethereal figures alongside living subjects, sparking debate and fascination. Some dismissed these spirit photographs as hoaxes or misinterpretations of light and shadow. Others believed they were genuine evidence of the existence of spirits, offering a glimpse into the realm beyond the veil. One of the most famous spirit photographers was William Mumler, an American photographer who gained notoriety in the 1860s for his portraits that allegedly featured the spirits of deceased loved ones. Mumler's photographs were controversial, with some accusing him of fraud, while others believed he had a genuine gift for capturing the images of spirits. Despite the controversy, spirit photography continued to thrive, with many photographers claiming to have captured images of ghosts, apparitions, and other supernatural phenomena. These photographs often featured ghostly figures appearing in various settings, from cemeteries and haunted houses to private homes and public spaces. With the advent of digital photography, spirit photography has taken on a new form. Many ghost hunters and paranormal investigators now use digital cameras and video recorders to capture evidence of the supernatural. These modern-day spirit photographs often show orbs, light anomalies, or even full-bodied apparitions. Corregidor Island, with its rich history and ghostly reputation, is a prime location for capturing spirit photographs. Imagine, listeners, exploring the island's abandoned buildings and tunnels, camera in hand, hoping to capture a glimpse of a spectral figure, a ghostly apparition caught on film. Spirit photography, whether captured on film or digital media, continues to fascinate and intrigue. It offers a tantalizing glimpse into the realm of the unexplained, a visual testament to the possibility of life after death. Listeners, as we delve deeper into the world of spirit photography, remember to approach these images with a discerning eye, to question, to analyze, and to draw your own conclusions. For the world of the paranormal is a realm of endless possibilities, a realm where the boundaries between the known and the unknown blur. And now, listeners, let's take a moment to reflect on the lessons we've encountered on our journey thus far. The stories of the Quezon Theater, the Poway Church, and Corregidor Island have reminded us of the importance of resilience, the power of remembrance, and the enduring fascination with the supernatural. They've shown us that history is not just a collection of dates and events, but a vibrant tapestry woven with the threads of human experience. It's a reminder that the places we inhabit, the buildings we cherish, hold within them the stories of those who came before us, their laughter, their tears, their hopes, and their dreams. And sometimes, just sometimes, if we listen closely, we can hear those stories whispering to us from beyond the veil. But our journey into the supernatural doesn't end here, listeners. The Philippines, with its rich history and vibrant culture, is a treasure trove of ghostly tales and paranormal encounters. So let's continue our exploration, shall we? Our next stop takes us to the bustling city of Baguio, to the Diplomat Hotel, a place shrouded in mystery and steeped in history. Imagine, listeners, a grand hotel perched atop a hill, its windows overlooking the city below, its corridors whispering tales of a bygone era. The Diplomat Hotel, once a luxurious retreat for the wealthy and powerful, is now an abandoned shell, its grandeur fading, its stories lingering. Built in the 1930s, the hotel was a popular destination for the elite, its elegant rooms and breathtaking views attracting guests from far and wide. But the hotel's history took a dark turn during World War II. When the Japanese invaded the Philippines, the Diplomat Hotel was transformed into a military headquarters. It witnessed the horrors of war, its corridors echoing with the sounds of gunfire and the cries of the wounded. After the war, the hotel was abandoned, its once grand interiors falling into disrepair. It remained empty for decades, its silence broken only by the occasional trespasser or curious visitor. In the 1970s, the Diplomat Hotel was acquired by the Dominican Order, who planned to convert it into a retreat center. However, the renovation project was plagued by setbacks and eventually abandoned. Today, the Diplomat Hotel stands as a haunting reminder of its past, its grandeur faded, its stories lingering. It's a place where the echoes of war whisper on the wind, and where the spirits of those who lived and died there may still roam. One of the most well-known ghost stories of the Diplomat Hotel is that of the headless priest, a spectral figure said to roam the hotel's corridors, his head tucked under his arm. Some say he's the ghost of a priest who was beheaded by the Japanese during the war, while others believe he's a former guest who met a gruesome end. Whatever his identity, the headless priest is a chilling reminder of the hotel's dark past. Another popular tale is that of the crying lady, a spectral figure said to wander the hotel's hallways, her sorrowful cries echoing through the empty rooms. Some say she's the ghost of a woman who lost her child during the war, while others believe she's a former guest who met a tragic end. Whatever her story may be, the crying lady is a haunting presence in the Diplomat Hotel. But the hotel's ghostly inhabitants are not limited to human spirits. There are also tales of spectral animals, such as the black dog, a phantom canine said to roam the hotel grounds. Some say the dog is the spirit of a pet who died in the hotel, while others believe it's a guardian spirit watching over the property. The Diplomat Hotel, with its rich history and ghostly reputation, is a place where the past and present intertwine, where the stories of the living and the dead converge. It's a place where the echoes of war whisper on the wind, and where the spirits of those who lived and died there may still linger. Listeners, as we explore the mysteries of the Diplomat Hotel, remember to keep an open mind, to embrace the possibilities, and to allow your imagination to soar. For in the realm of the supernatural, anything is possible. Now, let's shift our focus to another fascinating aspect of the paranormal, psychic abilities. Imagine, listeners, having the ability to perceive information beyond the five senses, to communicate with spirits, to see the future, or to move objects with your mind. Psychic abilities, also known as extrasensory perception or ESP, have fascinated and intrigued people for centuries. Throughout history, there have been countless accounts of individuals claiming to possess psychic powers, from Nostradamus and his prophetic visions to Edgar Cayce and his medical diagnoses. While the scientific community remains skeptical of psychic abilities, there have been numerous studies and experiments conducted to investigate these phenomena. Some studies have shown promising results, suggesting that there may be some validity to the claims of psychic powers. However, more research is needed to fully understand these abilities. The Philippines, with its rich spiritual traditions and belief in the supernatural, has a long history of psychic phenomena. Many Filipinos believe in the existence of psychic healers, spirit mediums, and fortune tellers. These individuals are often consulted for guidance, healing, and insights into the future. One of the most famous Filipino psychics was Antonio Agpiawa, a faith healer who gained international recognition for his alleged ability to perform psychic surgery. Agpiawa claimed to be able to remove tumors and other ailments from patients without the use of traditional surgical instruments. While his methods were controversial, many people believed in his healing powers. Another well-known Filipino psychic is Jamie Lacoco, a parapsychologist and author who has conducted extensive research on psychic phenomena in the Philippines. Lacoco has written numerous books on the subject, exploring topics such as ESP, reincarnation, and out-of-body experiences. Psychic abilities, whether real or imagined, continue to fascinate and intrigue. They offer a glimpse into the realm of the unexplained, a possibility of human potential beyond our current understanding. Listeners, as we delve deeper into the world of psychic abilities, remember to approach these phenomena with a discerning eye to question, to analyze, and to draw your own conclusions. For the world of the paranormal is a realm of endless possibilities, a realm where the boundaries between the known and the unknown blur. And now, listeners, let's take a moment to reflect on the lessons we've encountered on our journey thus far. The stories of the Quezon Theater, the Peway Church, Corregidor Island, and the Diplomat Hotel have reminded us of the importance of resilience, the power of remembrance, and the enduring fascination with the supernatural. They've shown us that history is not just a collection of dates and events, but a vibrant tapestry woven with the threads of human experience. It's a reminder that the places we inhabit, the buildings we cherish, hold within them the stories of those who came before us, their laughter, their tears, their hopes, and their dreams. And sometimes, just sometimes, if we listen closely, we can hear those stories whispering to us from beyond the veil. As we conclude this story, I want to leave you with a question. Do you believe in the existence of psychic abilities? Have you ever had an experience that suggested the possibility of ESP or other paranormal powers? For our next story, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever wondered about the echoes of the past? How events, especially those filled with intense emotion and struggle, might leave an imprint on a place? Can the whispers of history still be heard if we listen closely enough? Today we're journeying to the heart of the Philippines, to the island of Leyte, where the past refuses to be silent. Leyte, a name etched in the annals of history, is known for its role in World War II. Imagine, listeners, the serene beauty of the island today, its lush green fields stretching towards the horizon, the gentle breeze rustling through the palm trees. It's hard to believe that this peaceful landscape was once a scene of intense conflict, a battleground where the fate of nations hung in the balance. The Battle of Leyte, a pivotal moment in the Pacific Theater, unfolded on these very shores. It was a clash of epic proportions, a struggle between Allied and Japanese forces that would forever shape the course of history. The land bore witness to the valor and sacrifice of countless soldiers, their lives intertwined with the destiny of a nation fighting for its freedom. Can you imagine, listeners, the deafening roar of artillery fire, the cries of the wounded, the fear and uncertainty that gripped the hearts of those who fought? But the echoes of war don't simply fade with time. They linger, they whisper, they sometimes even shout. And in Leyte, these echoes are particularly poignant. Visitors to the former battlegrounds often report a sense of unease, a feeling of being watched, an inexplicable chill that runs down their spine. Some even claim to hear the ghostly sounds of battle, the distant rumble of tanks, the crackle of gunfire, the anguished cries of soldiers caught in the crossfire. And then there are the EVPs, those intriguing recordings that capture sounds beyond the range of human hearing. In Leyte, these EVPs have yielded some truly remarkable results. Imagine listening to these recordings, listeners, and hearing the faint but distinct voices from the past. Cries for help, desperate pleas for medics, the sharp commands of officers rallying their troops, all captured on tape, as if the spirits of those who fought and fell are still trying to communicate with us. One particularly haunting EVP features a voice whispering, "Stay with me." It's a plea filled with both camaraderie and despair, a testament to the bonds forged in the heat of battle and the fear of being left alone in the face of death. It's a reminder that even in the midst of chaos and destruction, human connection remains a powerful force. The Battle of Leyte wasn't just a military campaign, it was a turning point in the war, a symbol of hope for a nation yearning for liberation. General Douglas MacArthur's famous words, "I have returned," echoed across the island, signaling the beginning of the end of Japanese occupation. And perhaps, just perhaps, those ghostly voices captured in the EVPs are the voices of soldiers who never truly left, who still linger on the battlefield, waiting for their own return, their own liberation from the shackles of the past. Don't forget to follow Stories Philippines podcast to whatever platform you are listening, listeners. And by the way, there are ways to support this podcast financially. Please check the links in the show notes. The Battle of Leyte was one of the largest naval battles in history, a titanic clash of warships that spanned hundreds of miles. It involved over 200,000 naval personnel and resulted in heavy losses on both sides. The battle marked a significant turning point in the war, paving the way for the eventual liberation of the Philippines and the Allied victory in the Pacific. But amidst the statistics and historical accounts, it's easy to forget the human cost of war. The Battle of Leyte, like all battles, was ultimately a story of individual lives lost and shattered. Each soldier who fought on those shores had a name, a family, a story of their own, and their sacrifice, their contribution to the fight for freedom, should never be forgotten. The stories from Leyte serve as a powerful reminder of the sacrifices made in the pursuit of peace and the enduring impact of history on the present. They invite us to reflect on the courage and resilience of those who fought in the war, both Filipino and foreign, and to honor their memory by striving for a world free from conflict. As we listen to the echoes of the past, we're reminded that history isn't just a collection of dates and events, it's a living, breathing entity that continues to shape our world today. The stories of Leyte, the ghostly voices, the lingering presence of the past, all serve as a testament to the power of memory and the importance of remembering those who came before us. Could these echoes from the past be a way for those who made the ultimate sacrifice to remind us of the fragility of peace and the importance of cherishing the freedoms we often take for granted? Listeners, if you have a story to share, something that you think might make for a great episode of Stories Philippines, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're always on the lookout for new and intriguing tales to explore. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please consider supporting us so we can continue to bring you these fascinating stories. You can find links to our Patreon and other ways to support the show in the show notes. The stories we've explored today remind us that the past is never truly gone. It lingers in the shadows, whispers in the wind, and sometimes even shouts from beyond the grave. It's up to us to listen, to learn, and to carry the lessons of history with us as we navigate the present and shape the future. And as we conclude this story, I'm left with a lingering question. If we could truly hear the voices of the past, what wisdom would they impart? For our next story, we unravel the mysteries that cling to the shadows of the old Spanish asylum in Vigan City, a place where the whispers of the past linger in the present, sending shivers down the spines of those who dare to listen. Imagine, if you will, the imposing structure of the asylum, its once vibrant walls now faded and cracked, a testament to the relentless passage of time. Built during the Spanish colonial era, this building was intended as a sanctuary, a place of refuge for those wrestling with the demons of the mind. Yet, over time, it transformed into something far more sinister, a place where neglect and suffering reign supreme. The air within the asylum is thick with the weight of forgotten stories, the echoes of tormented souls trapped within its walls. It is said that if you listen closely enough, you can hear the sorrowful cries and desperate whispers of those who were abandoned and forgotten, their pleas for release echoing through the empty corridors. Many have ventured into the depths of this forsaken place, armed with EVP recorders, hoping to capture evidence of the paranormal activity that is said to plague the asylum. And they have not been disappointed. EVP recordings have emerged, filled with chilling voices that seem to rise from the depths of despair. One recording in particular sends chills down the spine. A voice, heavy with desperation and longing, cries out, "Help us!" It is a plea that pierces the silence, a cry for compassion that echoes through the ages. The old Spanish asylum stands as a stark reminder of the dark side of our history, a time when mental health was shrouded in ignorance and fear. The treatments of the era were often brutal and inhumane, a far cry from the understanding and compassion we strive for today. Yet, amidst the darkness, there is a glimmer of hope. The asylum also serves as a testament to our progress, a reminder of how far we have come in our understanding and treatment of mental illness. It is a call to continue pushing forward, to advocate for those who suffer, and to ensure that everyone receives the care and compassion they deserve. Listeners, as we delve deeper into the mysteries of the old Spanish asylum, let us remember the importance of empathy and understanding. Let us strive to create a world where everyone feels safe and supported, where mental health is no longer a source of shame or fear. Don't forget to follow Stories Philippines podcast on your favorite podcast platform and share this episode with your friends and family. If you're enjoying the show and want to help us continue creating amazing content, please consider supporting us financially. You can find links to our Patreon and other ways to contribute in the show notes. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep the lights on and the stories coming. Now, let's continue our exploration of the old Spanish asylum, where the veil between the living and the dead is thin, and the whispers of the past continue to haunt the present. The asylum's history is intertwined with the development of mental health care in the Philippines. During the Spanish colonial era, mental illness was often viewed as a curse or a sign of demonic possession. Those afflicted were often ostracized and subjected to cruel and unusual treatments. The establishment of the asylum was an attempt to provide a more humane approach to mental health care. However, due to limited resources and understanding, the asylum eventually became a place of neglect and suffering. Patients were often subjected to overcrowding, unsanitary conditions, and even physical abuse. The stories of the asylum's haunted past reflect the pain and suffering endured by its former residents. The cries for help captured in EVP recordings are a chilling reminder of the asylum's dark history. However, the asylum's story is not just one of tragedy and despair. It also serves as a reminder of the importance of compassion and understanding in the face of mental illness. The asylum's history challenges us to confront the stigma surrounding mental health and to advocate for more humane and effective treatments. As we explore the mysteries of the old Spanish asylum, let us remember the lessons of the past and strive to create a more compassionate and understanding future for all. Listeners, the stories of the old Spanish asylum are not just tales of horror, they are also stories of resilience and hope. Despite the challenges they faced, the residents of the asylum found ways to connect with each other and create a sense of community. One such story is that of Maria, a young woman who was admitted to the asylum after experiencing a traumatic event. Maria was initially withdrawn and fearful, but she eventually found solace in the company of other residents. She formed a close bond with Elena, an older woman who had been living in the asylum for many years. Elena taught Maria how to cope with her anxiety and find joy in simple things. They would spend hours talking, laughing, and sharing stories. Maria's friendship with Elena helped her to heal and eventually regain her sense of self. Maria's story is a testament to the power of human connection and the resilience of the human spirit. Even in the darkest of times, we can find hope and healing through our relationships with others. The old Spanish asylum may be a place of darkness and despair, but it is also a place of hope and resilience. The stories of its residents remind us that even in the face of adversity, we can find the strength to overcome our challenges and create a better future for ourselves and others. Listeners, as we continue our journey through the mysteries of the old Spanish asylum, let us remember the importance of compassion, understanding, and hope. Let us strive to create a world where everyone feels safe and supported, where mental health is no longer a source of shame or fear. And if you have a story to share, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you and possibly feature your story on a future episode of Stories Philippines podcast. You can find our contact information in the show notes. The old Spanish asylum stands as a monument to the complex history of mental health care in the Philippines. It is a place where darkness and light intertwine, where stories of suffering and resilience coexist. As we conclude our exploration of this enigmatic place, let us carry with us the lessons we have learned. Let us remember the importance of compassion, understanding, and hope in the face of mental illness. And let us continue to advocate for a world where everyone has access to the care and support they need to live a fulfilling life. Listeners, as we bid farewell to the Old Spanish Asylum, let us not forget the voices that echo within its walls. Let us honor their stories by striving to create a more just and compassionate world for all. And if you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, please remember that you are not alone. There are resources available to help. You can find a list of mental health organizations in the show notes. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the mysteries of the Old Spanish Asylum. We hope you'll join us again next time for another intriguing exploration of the paranormal and unexplained in the Philippines. Listeners, don't forget to follow Stories Philippines podcast on your favorite podcast platform and share this episode with your friends and family. If you're enjoying the show and want to help us continue creating amazing content, please consider supporting us financially. You can find links to our Patreon and other ways to contribute in the show notes. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep the lights on and the stories coming. This is the question I have in mind while reading this story. How can we use the lessons of the past to create a more compassionate and understanding future for those struggling with mental health? For our next story, can you imagine the weight of history, the echoes of laughter and sorrow lingering in the air of an old house? Can you feel the cold spots, the prickling of your skin as you walk down its silent hallways? Tonight, we journey to a place where the past refuses to stay buried, where whispers of tragedy linger in the silence, and where the veil between the living and the departed seems thin indeed. Our story takes us to the historic town of Cavite City, a place steeped in history, where the echoes of the past reverberate through its ancient streets. Here, amidst the bustle of modern life, stands a grand mansion, a relic of a bygone era. Its once vibrant facade now cloaked in an air of mystery and melancholy. This mansion, listeners, was once the home of a prominent political family, a symbol of their wealth, influence, and power. Imagine, if you will, grand balls held within its walls, laughter echoing through its corridors, and the clinking of champagne glasses celebrating life's triumphs. Built in the late 19th century, a time of horse-drawn carriages and gaslight lamps, this mansion bore witness to a period of great change and upheaval in the Philippines. It was a time when the country was struggling for independence, a time of both hope and hardship. And this mansion, with its sturdy walls and elegant architecture, stood as a silent observer, absorbing the joys and sorrows of the family that resided within. But tragedy, listeners, has a way of casting long shadows, and the Cavite mansion is no exception. This once happy home has also seen its share of heartbreak, its walls bearing witness to the inevitable cycle of life and death. The most devastating event, the one that seems to have etched itself into the very soul of the house, was a fire, a raging inferno that swept through the mansion, claiming the lives of several family members. Can you imagine the horror, the chaos, the screams echoing through the night as the flames consumed everything in their path? Can you picture the desperate attempts to escape, the frantic search for loved ones in the smoke-filled rooms? This fire, listeners, was a tragedy that shook the family to its core, leaving an indelible mark on the mansion and its history. Today, the Cavite mansion stands as a silent sentinel, its grandeur faded, its walls whispering tales of a bygone era. Visitors to the mansion often report strange occurrences, unexplained phenomena that send shivers down their spines. Cold spots, sudden drops in temperature that defy logical explanation, are a common experience. Some claim to hear faint whispers, disembodied voices carried on the breeze, while others catch fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures flitting across the periphery of their vision. And then, listeners, there are the EVPs, those chilling recordings of electronic voice phenomena that capture sounds and voices from beyond the veil. One particularly eerie EVP, captured within the mansion's walls, sends chills down the spine of even the most hardened skeptic. It's a soft, mournful voice, barely audible above the background noise, whispering a single, heart-wrenching phrase, "I'm sorry." Many believe this voice belongs to one of the family members lost in the fire, their spirit trapped within the mansion, forever seeking forgiveness or perhaps expressing remorse for some unknown transgression. It's a chilling reminder, listeners, that the past can sometimes refuse to let go, that the echoes of our actions can linger long after we are gone. Now, let's take a moment to delve into the historical context of this tragedy. Fires, listeners, were a common threat in historic Philippine cities, with houses built predominantly of wood and relying on kerosene lamps for illumination. The risk of fire was ever present. The tragic fire at the Cavite mansion serves as a stark reminder of the precariousness of life in those times, a testament to the impermanence of earthly possessions and the enduring nature of love and grief. Don't forget to follow Stories Philippines podcast on your favorite podcast platform and share this episode with your friends and family. If you're enjoying the show and want to help us continue creating these immersive narratives, please consider supporting us financially. You can find links to our Patreon and other donation options in the show notes. Your support allows us to keep bringing these stories to life and exploring the rich tapestry of Philippine folklore and history. The story of the Cavite mansion, listeners, is more than just a ghost story. It's a tale of family, of love and loss, of tragedy and resilience. It speaks to the enduring bonds that connect us, even in death, and the echoes of unresolved emotions that can linger for generations. Are the whispers and shadows within the mansion merely spectral remnants of a tragic past? Or are they something more, a reminder that love, like sorrow, transcends time and space, leaving its imprint on the very fabric of a place? Could these enduring whispers be a call for closure, a plea for healing from the spirits trapped within? Are they trying to tell us something, to impart some wisdom gained from their timeless existence? Or are they simply spectral reminders, echoes of a past that refuses to be silenced, forever intertwined with the history of the Cavite mansion? These are questions, listeners, that we may never be able to answer definitively. But perhaps, just perhaps, by listening to these stories, by acknowledging the past and honoring the memories of those who came before us, we can find some measure of peace and understanding. The Cavite mansion stands as a testament to the enduring power of the past, a place where history and the supernatural intertwine. It's a reminder that every place has a story to tell, every building a silent witness to the lives lived and lost within its walls. And sometimes, listeners, if we listen closely enough, we can hear those stories whispering on the wind, carried on the echoes of time. But the Cavite mansion is just one of many places in the Philippines where the veil between the worlds seems thin, where the past refuses to remain silent. Our country, with its rich history and vibrant culture, is a treasure trove of folklore, myths, and legends, many of which blur the line between the natural and the supernatural. In the next episodes, listeners, we'll delve into another fascinating tale, another corner of the Philippines where the unexplained and the uncanny hold sway. We'll explore the legend of the Balay Drive, a road shrouded in mystery, where ghostly apparitions and spectral hitchhikers are said to roam. So stay tuned, listeners, and keep those candles burning, for the journey into the unknown continues. But before we move on to our next chilling tale, let's take a moment to reflect on the lessons we've learned from the story of the Cavite mansion. It reminds us that life is precious, that tragedy can strike unexpectedly, and that the bonds of family and love can endure even beyond the grave. It also highlights the importance of closure and healing, of finding ways to reconcile with the past and move forward with hope and resilience. And as we bid farewell to the spirits of the Cavite mansion, let us carry with us the reminder that every place has a story to tell, every whisper a potential message from the beyond. So keep your ears open, your minds curious, and your hearts receptive to the mysteries that surround us. And now, listeners, I leave you with this question. If you could speak to the spirits of the Cavite mansion, what would you ask them? What secrets do you think they hold? What wisdom could they impart? For our last story, have you ever felt drawn to a place, a location shrouded in an aura of mystery, a place that whispers secrets of a past long forgotten. Today, on Stories Philippines podcast, we embark on a journey to such a place, an enigmatic island retreat nestled in the heart of the Visayas. Imagine, if you will, an island draped in emerald green, fringed by pristine beaches, and seemingly untouched by the relentless march of time. This, my friends, is where our story unfolds. This island, once a sanctuary for spiritual seekers, now stands abandoned, a ghost of its former self. The retreat, once a haven of peace and contemplation, now echoes with the silence of forgotten prayers and unanswered questions. What caused this sudden abandonment? What secrets lie hidden beneath the overgrown vines and crumbling walls? These are the questions that have haunted the minds of locals and visitors alike. But the island's silence, it seems, is deceptive. For those who dare to listen closely, the island whispers stories of its past, stories that send shivers down your spine. EVP enthusiasts, those intrepid explorers of the paranormal, have captured chilling sounds that pierce the island's tranquility. Imagine, listeners, the hair on your neck standing on end as you hear disembodied chants echoing through the ruins, the spectral footsteps of unseen entities pacing the deserted corridors, and a haunting lullaby, a melody that seems to linger in the air long after the recording has stopped. One EVP in particular stands out, a chilling whisper that seems to beckon the listener. Join the circle. What circle does this voice refer to? Was this island once home to secret rituals, ceremonies lost to the mists of time? We can only speculate, listeners, but the very thought sends a chill down my spine. Don't forget to follow Stories Philippines podcast on your favorite podcast app. And if you're enjoying the show, please consider supporting us. You can find links on how to do that in the show notes. Now, listeners, let's delve into the history of such secluded spiritual retreats. Throughout history, remote islands like this one have served as havens for those seeking spiritual enlightenment, places where they could disconnect from the world and connect with the divine. In the Philippines, with its rich spiritual heritage, such retreats have played a significant role. Think of the mountaintop monasteries in the Cordilleras, where monks have meditated for centuries, or the hidden caves in Palawan, where ancient shamans once performed their rituals. These places, shrouded in mystery and steeped in tradition, have always held a special place in the Filipino psyche. But this island, listeners, seems to have taken a darker turn. The retreat's abrupt abandonment hints at a story left untold, a mystery that lingers in the air like a persistent fog. Perhaps the spiritual seekers who once inhabited this island stumbled upon something unsettling, something that forced them to flee, leaving behind their sanctuary and their secrets. Or perhaps the island itself, imbued with a spiritual energy of its own, decided to reclaim its solitude, pushing away the human presence that had disturbed its peace. The stories of this enigmatic island retreat, listeners, invite us to ponder the unknown, to acknowledge the mysteries that surround us. They remind us that not all questions have answers, not all doors are meant to be opened. Sometimes the most profound experiences come from embracing the unknown, from respecting the secrets that lie hidden in the shadows. This island, with its abandoned retreat and its ghostly whispers, serves as a reminder that we are but visitors in a world much older and vaster than ourselves. It urges us to approach the unknown with both curiosity and reverence, to seek understanding while respecting the boundaries of the mysteries we encounter. Listeners, as we conclude our exploration of this enigmatic island retreat, let us carry with us the lessons it has whispered in our ears. Let us embrace the unknown, respect the mysteries that surround us, and remember that some secrets are best left undisturbed. And now, listeners, I leave you with this question: what other enigmatic places in the Philippines hold secrets waiting to be discovered? Share your thoughts and stories with us, and perhaps your story will be featured in a future episode of Stories Philippines podcast. Don't forget to follow Stories Philippines podcast on your favorite podcast app, and if you're enjoying the show, please consider supporting us. You can find links on how to do that in the show notes. As we conclude our journey through haunted places and EVP captures, I invite you to reflect on the lessons these stories impart. Whether these voices are echoes of the past or the remnants of lost souls, they remind us of the interconnectedness of history, emotion, and human experience. Listeners, I encourage you to submit your own stories of the unexplained. Your tales, your experiences are what make our podcast vibrant and diverse. If you've captured an EVP or have a story to share, please reach out to us. Your contribution could be featured in a future episode. Moreover, if you've enjoyed this exploration, I kindly ask for your support to help us continue creating engaging and insightful episodes. Please check the links in our show notes to find out how you can support the podcast financially, ensuring we can keep bringing these stories to you. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the unknown. Keep your ears open, your minds curious, and remember, the past is always with us, whispering both its warnings and wisdom. Until next time, see you on the other side.